I gave Biggie his first shows. I was the one that I was that bridge that niggas used to walk on to get over here. I explained it.
Nobody knew that. And what happened next, nobody was ready for. Before the East Coast-West Coast war, there was a friendship. Tupac gave Biggie his first shows. He called him his little brother. He told interviewers that Biggie learned everything from watching him. And then one night, in November 1994, Tupac walked into a recording studio in New York and got shot 5 times. And in the last interview he ever gave, Tupac looked directly at the camera and said he believed Biggie knew it was going to happen. By the end of this video, you're going to hear exactly what Tupac said. You're going to hear what Biggie said back. And you're going to hear the one thing Biggie admitted on camera that nobody has ever fully talked about, weeks before he was killed. The brother he built. September 1993, New York City. Tupac Shakur was already famous. He had Brenda's Got a Baby. He had Trapped. He had Dear Mama on the way. He was the most talked about young rapper in America. Biggie Smalls was nobody. He was a kid from Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. He had a demo tape. He had bars, but nobody outside his neighborhood knew his name. He had never performed on a real stage in his life. Tupac changed that. When Tupac came to New York for shows, he let Biggie open for him. Keep Your Head Up was playing on every radio station in America. Tupac could have put anybody on that stage. He chose Biggie. He told people around him, this kid is different. Watch what he does. That is not a small thing. In hip hop, the person who gives you your first real platform owns a piece of your story forever. Tupac did not just give Biggie a stage. He gave him an audience that was already warmed up and ready to listen, and Biggie delivered every single time. Within 2 years, Ready to Die dropped. Biggie was everywhere. Bad Boy Records, Puffy Combs, the notorious B.I.G., the kid from Brooklyn had become the biggest rapper on the East Coast, and Tupac watched it happen from the West Coast. Here's what Tupac said about all of it. In his own words, recorded in 1996, the last major interview he ever gave.
Oh, do you think Puffy was involved in the shooting?
Only they can answer that question. I have my own opinion, but I wouldn't slander their name like they did mine. I wouldn't say things that I knew. You know what I mean? I believe so. I do believe so. I have proof, things that I could say that will back up my claim.
Tupac did not say maybe. He did not say he was not sure. He said, I believe so, and I have proof. That is not a man venting. That is a man who had already made up his mind. Now here is what most people never ask. Between the moment Tupac put Biggie on stage and the moment he sat down and said those words on camera, something happened. Something that changed everything between them. Something that Tupac could never let go of. And the answer is not what the blogs tell you. Because the real question is not whether Tupac believed Biggie was involved. The real question is, what did Biggie know? And did he ever say it out loud? What he said before the war. Tupac did not say they were friends. He said he trained him. He said Biggie was his lieutenant. That is not a friendship. That is a brotherhood with a rank attached to it. Now understand what that means. By 1994, the same year Tupac was putting Biggie on stages across New York, the music industry was starting to split. East Coast versus West Coast, Bad Boy versus Death Row, Puffy versus Suge, and the two artists being pushed to the front of that divide were Tupac and Biggie. But here's what the blogs always skip. Tupac did not start that war angry at Biggie. He started it feeling like a man who had been betrayed by someone he trusted completely, someone he had put on, someone he had called his little brother in interviews, someone who, in Tupac's mind, should have made one phone call and did not. November 30th, 1994, Quad Recording Studios, Manhattan. Tupac walked into that building to record a feature. He got shot 5 times in the lobby. He was robbed. He dragged himself into the elevator and went up to the studio, where Biggie and Puffy were already inside working. They walked past him. Nobody called an ambulance. Nobody said anything. Nobody stopped what they were doing. Tupac survived. He went to Rikers Island. He sat in a prison cell, and he thought about every person who was in that building that night. And he came to a conclusion that he never walked back from. Now here's the part of this story that nobody ever finishes telling. Biggie heard everything Tupac said. He read every interview. He saw every lyric. And at some point, somebody put a camera in front of Biggie Smalls and asked him directly. And what Biggie said in that moment, in his very last interview before he was killed on March 9th, 1997, is the one piece of evidence that changes how you see this entire story.
I kind of realized how powerful Tupac and I was. You know what I'm saying? Because we two individual people, we waged a coastal beef. You know what I'm saying? One man against one man made a whole West Coast hate a whole East Coast and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? And that really bugged me out.
Biggie said it himself. One man against one man. Not two coasts, not two labels. Two men who used to be on the same side. And the whole world chose a lane because of it. Because Biggie did not talk about Tupac the way the blogs say he did. He said something much more honest than that. And the question nobody has ever answered is this. If Biggie saw it that clearly, What was he waiting for? Biggie admitted before he died. Now sit with that for a second. Tupac gave Biggie his first shows. Tupac called him his lieutenant. And then one night in the Manhattan lobby, everything between them changed. Tupac came out of that building believing Biggie knew what was going to happen. Biggie never directly answered the accusation. He never said yes, he never said no. He went to Los Angeles for the Soul Train Music Awards in March 1997. He did interviews. He talked about Life After Death dropping on March 25th. He was in the best place of his career. On March 9th, 1997, Biggie was shot 4 times in his SUV on Wilshire Boulevard. He was pronounced dead at 1:15 in the morning. He was 24 years old. Tupac had been dead for 6 months. Neither one of them got to finish the conversation. Here's what makes this story different from every other version you have heard. This was never really about Coast. It was never really about Death Row versus Bad Boy. It was about 2 men who trusted each other and what happened when that trust broke. One man felt abandoned in his worst moment. The other man never got the chance to explain himself. And here's my opinion, and you can disagree in the comments. Biggie knew more than he ever said publicly. Not because he was guilty, but because in hip-hop in 1996, saying the wrong thing in the wrong room could get you killed. Biggie was navigating a war he did not start. And the one time he got close to telling the truth in that last interview, he said exactly what the situation was. 1 man against 1 man, and it cost both of them everything. But here is the question this video cannot answer. If Tupac had survived September 7th, 1996, if both men had lived long enough to sit in the same room again, do you think Tupac would have believed Biggie's side of the story? Or had that trust already been destroyed the moment nobody called an ambulance at Quad Studios? 2 men, 1 friendship, 1 night that broke everything between them. And both of them gone before the world ever got the real answer. So here's what I want you to tell me in the comments. Tupac said Biggie knew. Biggie said it was just 2 men and the whole world chose sides. Who do you believe? And do you think they would have made peace if both of them had lived? Now sit with